What's up, everybody? Welcome back to HR Heretics. Somehow, Kelly, it is the end of 2024. How is that possible?
Somehow. I don't know, but I will tell you it's gone fast. And as I get older and older, it's truer and truer. Real quick.
Yeah. All right. So today, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a bow on 2024. We're going to talk about the reflections from me and Kelly's side, how things are going for us. We're going to talk about like our best of the year. We're going to actually have a couple of podcast segments that you guys can listen to and look at that we think were the best of the year. And then we're going to wrap with what we think is coming for 2025. So, Kelly, how have things been going? What's your take on?
Yeah, I'm excited for this segment because I don't know about you, but I've been listening to a lot of like end of the year segments, and it's it's the same stuff. It's here's predictions, here's this. I want this to be real, Nolan, and that's the feedback I've gotten since we started. I feel like I just kind of know you both, and good, bad, or ugly is what it is, and that is why we did this. And I think for me, I'll be honest, I was expecting 10 episodes and out, right? Like 3 and out in football. And here we are a year and a half later. So I'm really grateful for everyone. And and it could be anyone. I told them like you all could be on here. It's just, I like it because it's us talking to our colleagues as equals. And if, I was driving down the freeway, I'd want to hear a peer of mine or whatnot talk about the real things. And so we were lucky to kind of be picked for this, but honestly, I'm humbled because it could be anyone and I would listen to them too. And I remember when you asked me to do this, like, right, you got hooked up with Turpentine and they were like, this is a great niche because they have Wendy's podcast and a finance one and a product one. And this is a very important niche, especially the next X number of years looking forward. And you're like, let's do this. And I said, no, I'm not doing this. I have no interest. I don't even know how this stuff works. I don't like posting on LinkedIn. This is not me. I think I said no a couple times. And the thing that got me, you were like, look, we're just going to tell the truth. This isn't going to be some weird, polished, like framed poise thing. And I was like, okay, well, that's me. Let's do it. And as long as we can stay true to that, I will do it.
Yeah, that's our requirement, right? So we're 100 episodes in, 100 or more. I honestly think, Kelly, like we're pretty prolific with our release schedule. Like we're pushing out usually 2 a week. And I'll tell you, every time I sit down, I open the computer and the camera comes on, I get energized. I just like doing it. And to your point, the reason I like doing it is because I've never had to fake a minute of it. And that's been our rule, right? Our rule is that we tell the truth and it's going to be honest. And even when we've treaded into difficult conversations, I have found that even with a little bit of internet backlash at times, that it feels like the conversation is moving forward and the industry is now starting to talk about things that were not allowed to be talked about when we started 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about what I'm most proud of, a lot of the stuff that you and I have been saying now on this show and getting into topics that have been pretty challenging, we're talking about it now. The industry's talking about them now. People are more open to hearing things that they weren't allowed to say, except in dinner conversations or in one-on-one private conversations. And that's what this show is all about. And that's what you're going to get as a listener when you listen to us is when me and Kelly hear shit, we're going to tell you about it.
Yeah. And I'm most proud about, like, I'll add 2 last things is one, this is the kind of thing that I wish I had 20 years ago. And it's not all the fluffy words and the new things. It is brass tacks on like what the hell's happening. What do things mean? Maybe the things that you kind of know about, but you don't really want to ask about in a layman term kind of way because you don't want to feel dumb. I mean, breaking stuff down to make us all better and smarter. And we're learning on this too. I think the other thing is it's not all horsies and duckies. We've had hard times, Nolan. We've disagreed. We are kind of like a married couple at this point, just working through everything. And it's been hard. We don't see eye to eye on all the things, but I think that's why this works. And I think that's the last thing I'll say that I'm proud of is we have gotten some backlash. Not everyone likes the show. Not everyone likes our points of view, but this show is the real world, in my opinion. Like, how many people do you work with that you agree with on everything and you like? I mean,
0.
it is
Literally 0.
0. Well, I mean, for me, it's like I'd give it a 50%. Like half the people I've worked with, I like, I generally agree, we have similar points of view, and half I don't like and I disagree, and we have very different points of view. The point is, it doesn't matter in work and in life, you're going to come across these people your whole life. The country's divided, for Christ's sake. And so the point of this show, whether we agree or disagree or whether our personal views, is to give everyone access to the whole data set, the whole consideration set, so you can be better, because we can't be better by just hanging out with people we agree with. It's just not reality.
Even the people that I tend to agree with, though, Kelly, like I disagree with them frequently, right? And that's the thing is I'm always looking for differing opinions. And I think that's really what people get when they listen to us is they're not going to hear just the same thing that they hear everywhere else. They're going to hear what we actually think. And to your point around our relationship, look, I don't think it's been hard for me. I enjoy that we come at life from different perspectives. And I think that that's what makes our relationship really special. But it is like, just like in every relationship, like, we will occasionally butt heads, but honestly, Kelly, I've had so much fun. I texted you this last night. Like, this has been so much fun.
Yeah. It's been great, pal.
I've been really, really enjoying it. And so I appreciate, I'll never forget where I was. I was on the patio of a WeWork in Newport Beach when I called you. And I was like, dude, I just talked to Eric and like, he wants me to do this podcast. And
I think we should do this thing together. I was walking on a soccer field at a kid's soccer game. I was like, I think I asked you, why are you calling?
You were a little skeptical. You were certainly skeptical.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you calling me? Why don't you call these 4 people?
Yeah, exactly. You were like, why me? And I was like, I don't know. I just kind of vibe. Like, I'm kind of vibing and I've always vibed with you.
I love it.
And this arranged marriage has gone better than I expected. So I appreciate all you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. And leadership going forward, it's a prediction of mine. Right? Good leaders are able to work with their whole team and see all the angles, and can't do that if you just see one. You got to have exposure to all these angles.
All right, let's do our best of 2024. So, Kelly, I want to start with books for you.
Ooh, I hate books. I don't read books. And this wasn't always the case. I remember I was 22 years old and into it. I was this like raging, kind of ambitious little professional, and I would do nothing but just read business books. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't retain any of it. It literally like went in my ear and out my ear, and it's just not how I work. I'm not saying books are bad. I enjoy books, but I do listen to books. So I have kind of jumped on the audio book train.
That counts. Yeah, that totally counts.
Yeah, but there's a whole subculture of the paper and the binding people, and
who gives a shit? A book is a book. However you consume it, you consume it.
Yeah, but okay. The other thing I'll be honest is I am a learner by doing. So I actually don't get a lot by theoretical models, and that's why I tell people when I coach. I'm like, listen, if you want this, you got to go somewhere else. This is kind of practical scars, successes. So I'm a big fan of doing. So actually, Nolan, the books I read is diversifying my interest now, because that was the whole reason I stepped out of the operating role full time is other interest. I'm a total personal finance dork. I love that stuff. Like, I'm a geek about it. The whole thing. I have like books from when I was 21, personal finance in your 20s, 30s, 40s. They exist for every decade. Rental property investing. Love that. My wife Hillary and I are like freaks about it. So that's kind of our jam. So I'm just kind of into different things. So I spend a lot of time outside business when I read or listen to things.
Cool. All right. So I got a couple things for people here. So my favorite genre is called narrative nonfiction. And so basically, I like history because I find that reading history, it turns out these people had it way worse than we could ever imagine.
Yes.
And it's like the best time ever to live. But like, we kind of get warped in social media and stuff and we forget. And so history kind of brings me back. I'm like, holy shit, these guys had it bad. And so anyways, narrative nonfiction, what I like is instead of like a statement of facts or like this, like my eyes are bleeding when I'm reading, some of these authors, so like Eric Larson is one, another one is Candace Millard. They'll take a compilation of different historical artifacts. So like whether it be other books, whether it be manuscripts, whether it be just like facts of history, and they weave it together into a story. That's really, really interesting to listen to. or to read. And so my book of the year is The Demon of Unrest by Eric Larson. And it is about what preceded the Civil War in the United States. Like, how did it actually happen? Like, what were the events leading up to the Civil War? How did this thing actually go down?
Right.
And it's riveting. It's such a good book. So highly recommend that one. My fiction book of the year, which I normally do not read fiction, and I'm really happy that my friend Nathan Tanner, who is a podcast guest, told me to read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And I actually think this is a very interesting book for this moment right now. So apparently this is Travis Kalanick's favorite book, who was the CEO of Uber. I didn't know that beforehand. But it talks a lot about mediocrity and the celebration of mediocrity and how dangerous that is to society. And I found it to be a fascinating read. I really enjoyed it, so check it out. And then I will just say that, like, my favorite author of all time, including in 2024, 2 more books, is Candace Millard. She is the best at narrative nonfiction. It is like, her stuff is so damn good. So those are my books and authors of the year.
That's cool.
What about podcasts, Kelly?
Yeah, again, few categories for me. You know, I really dig in again to investing, personal finance, rental property podcasts. So
Which ones?
okay, so here's a few. One is Bigger Pockets, real estate investing. It's a good one. The others are Stay Wealthy, retirement show. That's a good one. Like, I learned so much about kind of small cap stocks, like all the ins and outs of those things, which is really cool. Yeah, those are pretty much the 2 biggest ones on my side for that. And as far as, like, I do enjoy the business podcast. So I will spend time on Most Innovative Companies by Fast Company. I will pick and prod at the A16Z one. Some of them are a little much for me, but I'll like scroll that one. I think Acquired is a great podcast. It's a great one.
People love that one.
Yep, Acquired's good. And I actually do listen to the All In podcast because I don't agree with everything on there. I think they can be, frankly, annoying and broy and a little odd, but they do cover a wide surface of things that, again, going back to how we started this, gives you a very wide perspective of different angles and different topics. So I think that one has, like, made me smarter in a few ways. And then a fun one that I have, which is kind of cool, which kind of ties to your history one. It's called Everything Everywhere Daily. And it's like 12 minutes and it's like random stuff. Like, let me educate you on this about fishing, to like wars and how this started to how this is made. And it's kind of cool. Like, if you're looking for just different tidbits of things to put in your brain, it's fun.
That's dope. All right. So I listen to, here's what I listen to every week. So number one is All In. I just find that as it relates to tech, they are just the most plugged in and hyper connected. And it feels like I'm listening to a conversation about what's actually happening in the back rooms of venture capitalists and CEOs. And so I feel like I just get a lot of data from them that I otherwise wouldn't have. So I listen to All In, number one. And then for me, like, I just have, like, I'm into stuff that is orthogonal to business. So one is called the Renaissance Periodization. It's this guy, Dr. Mike Israetel. And this is like the broiest of broy strength training podcasts. So put me into that category for sure. And then
we still need to get in the ring, dude. We still need to get in that MMA ring.
So yeah, for sure. I'm wearing my MMA stuff today. And then the last one I listen to, I'm a huge 49er fan, if you can't tell by the helmets behind me. And every night I fall asleep to this guy, honestly, Guy Haberman. And my wife can attest that she also falls asleep to Guy Haberman's podcast every evening. So those are my podcasts of the year.
Very cool. Hey, everyone. We'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
I must admit, I used to believe that AI didn't actually exist in recruiting or HR. That is until my friend Heather Doche, who leads talent at Signalfire, told me to check out Metaview. I got into the product and was like, wow, AI actually does exist in recruiting, and this product is sick. Metaview is the world's #1 AI scribe built specifically for recruiting. Their AI records and transcribes hiring conversations, like intakes, interviews, and debriefs, then provides perfectly summarized notes of everything that was discussed. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes everything. With perfect notes from every conversation, your people can focus on creating a human connection with candidates, and they can save time on the busy work of cleaning up notes after every interview. But it's so much more than just a time saver, because perfect notes means perfect data. For every candidate and every pipeline, hiring teams can make confident, informed decisions, and talent leaders can finally take control of the interview process. Metaview covers all your compliance needs, works with all your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at organizations like Brex, Deal, HelloFresh, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts. Tell them that me and Kelli sent you. Or you could just go to their website and get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI-enabled in minutes. What about just like personally, Kelli? Like, how was 2024 for you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It was kind of, I'll admit, an identity journey for me this summer when I exited Pendo and I was not an operator full time in a company for literally the first time in over 24 years. It was weird. And, you celebrate it, yay, up until it happens. Then you're like, whoa, what's going on? And so just being honest about that, I talked to a lot of people. They're like, listen, you got to enjoy the time. And it's a really tough human conundrum to have nothing but free time and enjoy it, right? We're trained to kind of keep going, keep this. So I spent like August, September, October, really half of November, just kind of retraining myself. So that was actually really nice. Did a lot with the kids this summer, a lot with the family. Again, Hillary and I spent a lot of time on this rental property thing. So it was really good. And then organically, I work with 9 individuals now on a coaching basis, which is cool. Never really put it out there. And a lot of it is this: hey, I need a real talk guide and a Sherpa. I want to be better today. I want to think about tomorrow. I want to think about my life. Like, what is this whole thing? And it's been really great. And then I just accepted an interim CHRO gig, which, I can't stay away. So that's like part-time. So we're great. I feel like 2025 is going to be fun. How about you?
2024 was pretty tough. I mean, the year started with my father-in-law passing. I haven't really talked much about this, but we named my son after him. That's my wife's best friend, one of my best friends. And, I think in general, especially in our country, we do a terrible job of talking about death. And so that was a really big reminder that life is finite and how we spend our time is really the number one thing that matters.
Yes.
So that put a lot into perspective at the beginning of the year. And then I haven't shared this at all yet, but this, but we're in the process of shutting down Continuum and Faircom. Those businesses are not going to be successful. We laid off our team, which was really challenging. But I will tell you, Kelli, like, my wife and I think about living life from the deathbed backwards. And so I always envision I'm 80 years old, I'm wrinkled, I'm like on the deathbed, I'm looking back on life and what regrets do I have? And I don't have one regret about it. So I'll talk more about it in future episodes, but that was, I think, a lot of the adversity. And then, most importantly, at this time of the year, I really just think about like how lucky I am. Not only do I get to do this with you and hang out with smart people like you every day, but I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm having so much fun in life. Like I'm having like way too much fun if I'm being like really honest with you. And so like you, I've been doing some coaching, some consulting stuff, and just trying to get that stuff off the ground, which I'm excited for next year.
Awesome.
All right, let's do 2025 predictions. So Kelli, what are you predicting happens in 2025?
Yeah, look, in our true fashion, I've listened to a lot of podcasts and every one of them's doing end of year or next year predictions and blah, blah, blah. And they're all the same. They're all very similar, Nolan, right? I don't know if you agree or disagree, but we know this. Like, there's going to be new areas of business: climate, sustainability, biotech, Web3, robotics, right? Quantum computing, all these things I think are going to start to take off more. And I think that's going to be different because a lot of people I know, including myself, have been in the fairway of enterprise SaaS like the last 10 years. And I think everyone's starting to kind of sprinkle out, which is going to be interesting because The one-trick ponies are gone. You got to learn, security, Web3. I think it's going to be very different in terms of how people evolve into different industries. We talked a bit about, software, I think, is going to be moved to a very clear, like a service value add model. Like people are going to pay for the value and the thing software does. And if it does it, not just the software itself, I think you're going to see a lot of pricing models change, business models, the way we interact. So I think that whole thing's going to be different, which is good. Yeah, look, the HR side, we've talked a lot about this too. The AI piece is going to probably start getting more real. I don't think it's been really real yet. I think it'll go slower than what people think, to be honest. The new generation of workers and hybrid work is still going to, keep going and figure that out, and how we integrate Gen Z into, the workforce and what that means for remote versus hybrid and all that's going to continue. And flex workers versus full time, like I'm one of them. I think that's going to be interesting to watch. But my real thing, Nolan, my street view, if you will, this is just me kind of riffing. I think 2025 is going to be more fun. I feel cautiously optimistic about it. I feel like things are loosening up out there and people are becoming more optimistic and in growth mode, offense versus defense. That's a great sign, because that's really what happens, right? Like the upward vortex goes when everyone's like, yeah, oh, you feel good. Great. I feel good. Oh, they feel good. You feel bad. I feel bad. The
vibes matter.
Totally. Like one person folds up like a lawn chair. The whole thing folds up like a lawn, and then the other direction. I feel it going in the other direction. And I'll tell you why, like the street view, I am getting calls and having conversations with a lot of companies where they are on the precipice of like opening up roles, opening up HR roles. They just don't have them open yet. They're like, right, the rumblings happening under the ground, and you're going to start seeing these things come up for the soil next year. That's really good. And so what I'll end with my prediction, Nolan, and I'll kind of roll it into some advice, get off your ass and start getting out there. Now is the time to break out the networks, to cultivate, to talk, to go to events, not stupid events, good events with quality people, and start getting your cement truck going. Because this is what I tell people I coach. You can't get a cement truck going in like 2 seconds. It takes months. So a prediction of mine, if you want to capitalize and be in the right place at the right time and help others as this thing goes in the right direction, because I think it is. I can sense it, feel it, hear it, see it. That's going to do nothing but help accelerate you and help you accelerate others, and vice versa.
Yep. I would describe that as risk on. So that's what I've been telling my friends. It's like, I feel like, to your point, the vibe has shifted. And when you're in a vibe shift and you feel like optimism in the air, I think you should have more risk, like put more chips on the table. And so I sent that text to my friends like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, risk on, like take risk in 2025.
You in these terms, what you throw Riz out there too? Like risk on, Riz. What are we talking?
Risk on, baby. I live on Twitter. All right, here's my prediction. So I think in general, hiring will increase, but you will see at company by company, headcount will stay flat. And so how does hiring increase if headcount stays flat? I think there's just going to be more formations of new companies. And this is what I mean partially by risk on, is I think we're going to see more early stage companies. Those companies will grow until they reach like this point of like, all right, we now have to like get going for profitability. And I think that profitability like avenue comes earlier now in a company's life cycle. Like now it's around Series C, Series D when you have to get real about like your headcount costs. And so I think that's the point to where you're going to start to see these companies flatten out from a headcount perspective. But up until then, it's grow, baby, grow, from seed all the way through Series C.
I also think the technology is going to make it less cool to be big, right? It was like, oh, how many people do you have? It's going to be cooler to be small.
Headcount is a vanity metric. Exactly. Like headcount is a vanity metric. That's definitely like, I think that one's actually already done for 2024. Okay. The other one, I agree with you. I think SaaS, seat-based pricing, which is what we've had for all of SaaS, dies in favor of results-based pricing.
Yes.
It's you could just very clearly see it now with AI. Like AI is actually, it's kind of expensive to run underneath the hood. And so these SaaS companies are going to start charging based off of results and try to take a rake off of those results. My next prediction is someone is finally going to crack AI in the applicant tracking system. Like, it's insane to me that I can't find great talent that applies to my company because there's just too many people in the bucket and it's organized chronologically. I know Ashby's already taken a crack at this, but somebody's going to crack it this year. It's going to happen. The best candidates are going to float to the top. We don't need to go through these back doors or side doors anymore. Like, some applicant tracking system is going to figure out that problem this year. I think we're going to see a lot more AI interviewing at the top of the funnel. So if you are a company that has a ton of candidate flow coming inbound, why should your recruiter talk to all of those people? And how do we like stack rank those people and figure out who to talk to? Well, this is what AI is for. And like, I think a candidate is going to express interest online with an application and immediately be met by a link to have a one-way dynamic interview with AI. I think you're going to see all the big companies start to test this next year. And then really in 2026, I think that is going to be like the year of AI interviewing at the very top of the funnel.
And when you say dynamic, it's like talking to you. It's an AI person that looks.
I think it's going to ask follow-up questions. I think it's going to like ask, it's going to be able to like be human-like, call it 80% of the way there. But I think it's just already better today. I've already seen the tech. It's already better today than just putting an application out there and like crossing your fingers and hoping somebody sees it. It's so stupid the way we've done it. So that is 100% changing. And then I think my last one, my contrarian take that people are going to love is I think 2025 is the year that virtue signaling dies. And specifically what I mean is I think a lot of people want to toss, like they want to act like they're doing good things and putting good things out. It just doesn't matter anymore. What matters now is that you're contributing. And so I think a lot of these things that we've seen in the past, we've talked about DEI a bunch on the show. I don't want to talk about that anymore. But just in general, like we have to build real businesses. Real businesses employ real people. Like that is the bottom line. And so I think a lot of this virtue signaling and doing good and all of this fake bullshit finally ends in 2025. And instead what we focus on is driving value for businesses, people getting compensated for what they should be compensated for because they're driving so much value. And like everything else you do in your personal life, and we separate it from what actually businesses are meant to do, which is go build great products that solve real customers' problems.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only asterisk I would say is, we've talked about this too, I think you agree, is these things do matter. It's not like being equitable, diverse, inclusive, and helping people want to belong. They do matter. It's just the way that we do these things also need to evolve.
Yeah, so for sure. And what I mean, like specifically what I mean by virtue signaling, right? It's like, it's not intended to actually solve a problem. It's intended to like, oh, I'm a good person. Like I'm going to say this because I want you to believe that I'm a good person versus I'm going to say this because I'm putting my ass on the line to actually go try and solve this thing. And I think that's where the dissonance has been. I haven't been able to articulate it that well up until now, but that's the real problem. That's what people are so tired of. It's just like, you're just saying these things because you want other people to pat you on the back and say, yay. No, like do real work and put your ass where your heart is. And then we will say, awesome, that's the work we want to see. And I think that's what's coming in 2025. But if you're not doing the real work, people are going to call you out and they're going to think you're a fraud. All right, everybody, let us know what you think. Me and Kelly are going to take a little bit of a break for the holidays. We hope you guys have an excellent end to your 2024, an amazing start to your 2025. We are going to be back bigger, better, stronger than ever in 2025. So expect 2025 to also be the year of the Heretic.
I appreciate you all so much. Have a great holiday.
You're the best, Katie. Have a good holiday.
You too, pal.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.